Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on our wreath. Finally, this is a project we've all been waiting for. Now this is the actual wreath itself and it is the wreath project of 2023, our annual project here at Wow Crochet Designs. So if you wanted to be a part of the annual project, you've only missed out on 4 small items that we've already created. They're very small. I've left a playlist to them in the description box down below, and there are the pictures that you see right here. It's very nice. So you have only missed out on those small items, which won't take you too long to create. All right, but one day next week we are doing the last project to date. So we will be up to date with our wreath as of one day next week, one of the days next week, whichever day I decide to do the end of May project. So very excited about that. It's taken us a while between me being unwell, the family being unwell, other things getting in the way like this gorgeous little sweater that you see right here. That is our patchwork jumper sweater, and we've just finished that last week, a week before maybe. Week and a half ago, something like that. But the playlist to that sweater is also in the description box down below if you wanted to create that one. In the meantime, we're creating this gorgeous wreath today. Now, a quick heads up on measurements. I did a video, it was part of a video vlog about, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the information I gave you wasn't really enough, but I'll play that quickly now for you, and here we go. Crafty bits, and I didn't purchase it from Sullivan's, but that's the details that where you can get it from. I purchased it from Lincraft, one of our large chains here in Melbourne, in Australia actually. And what you could get with this as well, if you wanted to, you could get other items. They make other ones as well. Now the measurements, oh, this is hilarious. Where you see the measurements, you know how you see the dye lots on the label of the yarn? Check this out. Right there. Look how tiny it is. It's a wonder I didn't see it. It says one wreath, and these are the measurements: 355 millimeters or 35 millimeter thick. Now I'll explain both those measurements to you. I actually had to measure them myself to work it out. So the first measurement I measured for the 355 was the center of your piece, right? That's your piece. Find the very, very center. And your 355, you know it says 35, that's 35 centimeters by 10, it's 355, is the length from one side of the wreath to the other, but the widest part of it. So it would be the same on the widest part, yeah? The widest part will be 35 by 35 centimeters or 355 by 355 millimeters. Now the 35 millimeter depth would be just that. It would be the depth of it. Now let me just poke a little hole in it. We're going to take this undone anyway. I'm going to take it out anyway, but I'll just show you quickly. Oh, where is it? Now it does say the depth, 35. Now if you're going to do 35, let me get a close up. It doesn't seem right, by the way. If you're going to be to 35, that would be there. I think that means the kind of the height of the depth, but even that doesn't go all the way up the top. You don't need to worry too much about this. If you were to purchase this particular one here, you would have the same as mine. All right. All right, now that was just showing you the labeling itself, but it wasn't exactly showing you the measurement of the piece itself. Now, the actual piece, I measured it off air and forgot to measure it with you guys. So I measured that width around the whole bit there. It measures 20 centimeters or 8 inches. Yeah. Then I measured the around the whole piece, the outer edge of the whole piece, and that measured 110 centimeters or what was it? 110 centimeters or 43.5 inches, yeah? So these are rough measurements again. Now, if yours measures a little too small or measures smaller than that, then you may need to adjust your stitches to suit. All right, so I hope that helps. The piece that I made turned out to be 90 centimeters. It's about, what is that, 10, 20, 30 centimeters, hang on, 90, 100, 110. Okay, 20 centimeters, I can't count. 20 centimeters less than it should be. but that's because we want to stretch our work. Yeah, my piece is a little bit loose. Okay, yours will not be so loose. I managed to fix it so yours is not so loose. See how loose that is? So loose. There's big pockets of looseness. Yeah, that's the half double crochet rows. Yeah, but I did 10 half double crochet rows. But what you're going to do is 5 of one set, 5 of the other, 5 of one, 5 of the other. By the time you're finished, yours will sit a lot better than mine. Yeah. Now you will have this line in the middle. I discussed that we're going to make something on this line in the future. I haven't really decided what it is yet. We'll talk about it and brainstorm on one of our lives. All right. So that's that. And the yarn itself, I forgot to measure, but I'm going to show you what I have. I have a cotton. It is 8-ply cotton, DK weight, or a 3 weight overseas. Now I forgot to weigh it before I started and measure it and all that jazz. I just forgot all about it. It just slipped my mind. But this is about 82 grams left. This is a 200 gram skein and there's 82 left. All right. So it goes to show that it does take quite a lot. However, this skein was also started. So I'm guessing between 90 and 110 grams. I'm guessing. These are rough measurements because naughty me forgot to take the measurement before I started, and I do apologize for that, but it's a rough measurement. You do need a lot because look at the piece. This is a big, look, this is relatively big. I can't even fit it in the screen. Can I get it any further? No, that's it. This is about as far down as I can get it. So this is a relatively big piece, all right? So you will need plenty of yarn. You will need a 4mm hook. Now the project, let's try that again, come back. The label does call for a 4mm hook. We are using a 4mm hook, all right? You will need a sewing needle at the end just to weave in the one end or the two ends or whatever it is that's there. You will need your scissors, yes. Guess what? You will need either a million stitch markers or pieces of different coloured threads. When I say pieces, I mean even this short. That's all you need. You're going to be tying it up and you'll see that throughout the tutorial. I used a lot of the leftover pinks and I used a lot of my stitch markers as well. I can't find any more of my stitch markers. They've all gone missing. But I used quite a bit. They go missing in couches and freezers and things like that. Not the freezers, I'm being silly. But there you go. All right, so that's that. I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let you get started creating, your gorgeous wreath. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off with a slip knot, and it's grabbing the tail end of your yarn, wrap it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there. Leave yourself a long tail, just easier for weaving in. Grab that back loop and pass it over, hold it there. Grab the other loop, pass it all the way over, pop your hook in, and just give everything a tug. Maybe that's too long of a tail, but anyway. All right, so here we go. We are going to chain 33. And a chain is yarn over our hook and pull a loop through once. Yarn over 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so what I want you to do is go right up to 33. I'm going to pop this on fast for you and off we go. 6, 32 and 33. All right, so now you should have 33 chains. Simple. Yep. All right, from here, let's just a nice little close up and see what I'm doing. We're going to do a row, some single crochets and some half double crochets. So you will need one stitch marker for the beginning there, a stitch marker on your 9th stitch. We'll talk about that in a minute, and a stitch marker before 9 stitches before the end, and you'll need a stitch marker at the end. Don't worry about that stitch marker, you won't need that till later. So you will need 3 stitch markers or a piece of thread for this row. Preferably use a stitch marker or even a safety pin because you're going to be taking them in and out a lot. Yeah. All right, so let's start off by doing a single crochet in the very next chain you see. So the very first chain you come to, you pop your hook in, you pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, grab your stitch marker and pop it in there like so. Alright, that's your first single crochet. Now you're going to do another 8 more, okay? So your second one goes in the next stitch, pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. And then again into your next, which is 3, 4, and keep going across till you get to 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Alright, so once you get to your 9 stitches, and if you've forgotten the count, you just count in these little V looking things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Once you get to your 9th stitch, grab a stitch marker and pop it in that 9th stitch right there. Right, so now we're going to count 14 stitches across, but we are doing half double crochets now. All right, and a half double crochet is, when I get some yarn, is yarn over our hook, oh, where am I? There, into the very next stitch, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, and that's 1. Yarn over, into the very next stitch, 3, and then that's 2. Into the next stitch with your half doubles, 3, and that's 4. Is that right? No, 1, 2, 3. Hello, 3, and just keep going all the way across. So 4 until you get to 14. Yeah, 5. 13 and 14. Now before we continue, make sure you have 9 chains left because you're going to put your single crochets in there. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so now the very next stitch is going to be a single crochet, and you're going to put a stitch marker in that stitch. So single in that next stitch, so pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both loops, and pop your stitch marker in there like that. And single crochet all of your stitches until you get to the end of your row, and off we go. So 1, this is your second one actually, so that's 2, 8 and 9. Let me get a close-up of the last one. There it is, right there, and 9. And that little blob you see there is the stitch, yeah? Your last stitch. Your knot, actually. If you want to give it a tug, you can. So what you formed here is kind of like a little bit of a growth all the way across and then a drop again. So it looks like that. It looks a little bit like that for now. All right, that's your first row. Okay, the next row we're going to do is a 1 row but repeat for a few rows. We won't talk about how many yet because I don't want to confuse you. Chain 1, bring it out, bring it in, turn your work. So you can turn it any way you like. I just kind of turn it that way. All right. Now you're skipping that chain 1 that you just made and you're doing a single crochet in the very first stitch. That's your 2 loops on top. So it's the space with the 2 loops on top. You do your single crochet 1 and you're going to put a stitch marker in that stitch right there, like so. So that's your first single crochet. You need to do the next 8, all right? So single crochet 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm sorry, let's try 8. 8 is the next one. And you've got your 9th one in that stitch marker. All right, pop your single crochet in the stitch marker. Stitch, not the stitch marker, in the stitch marker stitch. Take out your stitch marker and replace it. And I'll talk about why at the end of this row while we're doing this, yeah? And then you're going to start your half doubles now, okay? You're going out of your singles and straight into your half doubles in the very next stitch. And the way you do the next stitch, be careful not to put it in front. You need to face your work to you and find that stitch there. Yeah, don't split the yarn like I just did. There, like that. Okay, so do your half double, which is your, I'll show you again. Yarn over your hook, into the stitch, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and you are doing that. You don't have to count anymore, you can if you like, all the way across until you get to your stitch marker. Yeah, and that's the joy of putting stitch markers in. Once you get to your stitch marker, you change back to your single crochets. Now this is not going to happen throughout the whole project, but parts of your project, all right? So keep doing your half double crochets all the way across. And once we get across to that next section, we'll have a little chat about sizes and measurements and everything. All right, so just keep going and going and going. Right there is a stitch just before it, and we've come up to the stitch marker. In that stitch marker, you are putting a single crochet. So in the stitch, not the stitch marker, do your single crochet. All right, take out your stitch marker and replace it back into the stitch, or into the stitch you just completed. Yeah, so single 1 and 2. You should have 9 still across. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and where's your 9th one? Right there. Okay, let's talk. Chain 1, take out your stitch marker. All right, let's have a bit of a chat just quickly so you can understand what you're doing here. What you're going to do here for this piece, this part of the piece, you're going to do 5 rows of this pattern right here. All right, we've done 2 rows already, so you only really need to do another 3 rows. But whilst you're doing them, replace your stitch markers, because it's a lot easier to remember where to place your single crochets. Always start your single crochets in a stitch marker, end it here and start it here. Yeah, and you're flipping your work after every row. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now the measurements itself may differ, right? The thing you've got to be careful of is this, for me, will be loose, but my work tightens up as I go. So in another 5, 6 rows, 10 rows, it's going to be a different measurement. So I'm not going to give you this measurement yet. No, I'll give it to you. I'll give you what I've done, and you can adjust to suit yours, right? So from there to there, again, remember it is bending a little bit. So I've so far got about 18 centimeters, let's go like that, not stretched, just sitting there, 18 centimeters or 7 inches so far. But that again, once again, for me, I'm going to tighten up now. Mine will get really tight because I crochet tightly. And when I'm sitting in front of the TV and just going row after row after row, I get even tighter. All right, so just heads up there. Adjust yours to suit your wreath. Now let me grab the wreath. Sadly, I've already done mine, so I can't even show you. But what I'll do is I'll show you what this looks like on the wreath now, so you can have a look-see, right? On the wreath now, if you were to pass it over, not on that part because that's a bit thick, we'll do it on a thinner part. Don't worry about mine. Mine's a little bit thicker in areas because I overdid it. I did 10 rows of half doubles and messed up. So you won't be doing that. So there you go. If you put it over your, let's try that again. If you put it over your wreath, is it straight? It is. It should have a little bit of space with your finger, very, very little, and that's tight, but you can still move it. Make sure you can hold it together and move it. All right, yours will be tighter than mine, so heads up, because I changed the pattern to suit you guys. Yeah, so what I want you to do for now is this row that we just did, to repeat that for another 3 more rows. Meet me back here, and then you can see the very next step, and after that next step you can head off on your own and make the rest. All right, but for now just repeat this row that we just did for another 3 more rows, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of our 5 rows, and it might do a little turn like that. That's normal. So what we're going to do now is we're going to measure what we have so far. Alright, so what I have is, let's get a close up, real close. From there to there is, oops, let's pop it on there, 3.5. It's just a little bit bigger than 3.5, nearly 4 centimeters, or it is roughly 1.5 inches, and it's a rough guide of 1.5 inches. All right, that's what I have in width. In length, I have about 7.5. Is that inches? That's inches. 7.5 inches, and oops, about almost 19 centimeters, like 18.5 centimeters. Like, give or take a few millimeters. It depends on how we crochet. Yeah. Now it doesn't matter too much because this guy's going to stretch. So if yours is a little bit tight, I would be a little bit weary. But if yours is a little bit tight, it will stretch. Put it over your wreath. Place it over your wreath so that you can see what it looks like. And it is a little tiny bit tight. I do have another piece over it, so you will be able to see that that'll fit perfectly. Yeah? Don't forget, I have that thickness under there already, so there you go. To me, that will be okay. All right, so that's that. What I want you to do, and we're going to do it after this row, is we are going to place stitch markers at the end of each section that we do. So we've done 5 rows here, we're going to put a stitch marker here and a stitch marker there. We're going to do 5 more rows, put a stitch marker there, stitch marker there, 5 more rows, stitch marker there, stitch marker there. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But this row is very, very simple, if I can go the right way, and extremely simple. Actually, I love this row because it made me relax a little bit. So you're going to do a half double crochet, not a single, but a half double crochet in the very first stitch, like so. Pop your stitch marker in there. Yeah, but then I want you to grab a different coloured stitch marker, orange, piece of thread, whatever you have, and that stitch that we just did our half double crochet in, I want you to pop a stitch marker there. Then I want you to do your half double crochets in every stitch you come to, every stitch, all the way across. And the best part about this section here is that you don't need to keep these stitch markers in. You can take them out, and we're going to do that now in a minute. So, oops, so that's should be 9 half double crochets all the way across. When we get to that stitch marker, it's 8, and then there's the 9th one right here. We're going to pop our 9th half double crochet in there, and we're going to take that out. And we're not going to bother with it until we do this next set, which is a while away yet. All right. So the rest of the thing, or the rest of the row, I should say, is easy. Just do your half doubles in every stitch. Oh, I'm nearly there, nearly there. Get to the stitch marker. Like so. Oh, I've split the yarn, don't you love it? Right before the stitch marker. Oh, she's rushing. All right, there's a stitch marker. You just place your half double in that stitch without losing it. Place your half double. You can take out the stitch marker. You don't need it there for this round. I'm sorry, this row. It's not rounds, it's rows, isn't it? Half double in every stitch all the way across. These might be a little bit tight because you are working in single crochets, or the single crochet stitches, I should say. All right, we're nearly there. I went silent there, didn't I, guys? Sorry. I do that occasionally. I go silent. All right, so you need to just pop your half double crochet in that last stitch and make your chain. Now remember that orange stitch marker that you placed there? You're going to find an orange corresponding stitch marker and you're going to place it where that blue one is, right there. Yeah. And then take out the stitch marker. What you've done here, not only have you done your half double crochet row, but you have marked your 5 rows of pattern. Later, when we want to sew our piece together, you attach these 2 stitch markers right there, and you know that you've got 4 stitches across to sew. I mean crochet. We are doing single crochets. You can sew it if you like later. You don't have to use the crochet. We do that. All right. So you do your single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and then single crochet right there. What that does is it helps you keep track of your rows. So later when we are putting it together, you're not confused and you don't put your piece on crooked like here. It doesn't go on crooked, it goes on straight all the way. I hope that made sense, yeah? So that's your 5th row down there, and this is your first row of half doubles. Guess what? Repeat this row 4 more times. So repeat this row that we just did, half double crochet across. You don't have to worry about stitch markers anymore, you've put them in already. All you need to do is go half double crochet there, chain 1, turn, half double crochet, pop a stitch marker, turn, keep going across, and so on for 4 more rows. I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, what you would have is that. Once again, we're going to measure it. The width is 7 centimeters, 7 centimeters, or nearly 3 inches. So it's 2.7 something, 2.7 inches, yeah? And in length, you'll have from the center, yeah, is 19 centimeters or 7.5 inches. All right, now that's a rough guide. This will either tighten up or loosen up depending on your tension. So your job now, and I'll tell you what to do in a minute, we're going to do another row, but is to always constantly measure your piece, making sure, look, it's already thick enough, so it will fit around. You won't have any problems, all right? So just make sure you constantly measure your piece. If your piece is really big now, then you need to take these undone and do less stitches across from the beginning. Yeah. All right. In the meantime, for the rest of us, we're going to do what I like to call the patterned row. The patterned row is this one here, where we do the 9 single crochets across, 14 half doubles, and 9 across. We're going to do that row now real quickly, and then we're going to talk. And while we're doing that row, we're going to add stitch markers again. All right. Or you could also add a piece of thread. If you don't have stitch markers, add a thread. Preferably a safety pin would work well as well. Either way, I would rather use the stitch markers. They're plastic and they don't rust or anything. But whatever you have in stock, yeah? And you're going to do that now. First thing you're going to do, and what you should have done is done your half double crochets across. You should have 32 stitches across, yeah? I didn't mention that before, but you should have 32. So you're going to turn your work and do a single crochet in the first stitch. So single crochet in that stitch right there. You're going to pop your blue stitch marker in the stitch that you just did, right there, and whatever colour stitch marker in the stitch just below it, which is right there. Alright, that's the stitch you just went into. And you've done one single crochet. And now you need a second one. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. If you're not sure, just count your stitches across, your little V's. I can see them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And with the ninth stitch, remember what we do? We pop a blue stitch marker in there. You only need to use these stitch markers in the middle of the rows when you're doing your patterned row. And that's this row here. I call it the patterned row. Yeah. And now your half double crochets, we're changing to half doubles all the way across. It's just a repeat of the patterned row. Yeah. Half double all the way across. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention we're counting 14 across. 1, 2, 3, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've got 5, 13, and 14. If you played your cards right and did your maths correct, you should only have 9 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm sorry about the dog in the background, guys, if you can hear him, because he's not happy out there. It's raining. It's raining. All right, so single crochet in the next stitch. Pop your stitch marker in there, like so. And single crochet all the way across. You can count them if you like, I'm not going to, but just make sure you have your 9 single crochets across. Yeah, I'm not going to because I want to rush this part and get you started. All right, nearly there, and there's the last stitch. We're going to do our single, I'll split the stitch. Oh dear. Let's do the single crochet in the stitch. Really splitting it. Here we go. Single in the stitch. Now grab your orange stitch marker and pop it in the same stitch that you just did your single in, which is right there. Okay. And that is your row. All right. So remember what we did before? We repeated this row for the 3 times, but we've only done 1 row here, so you're going to repeat it for the 4 times, okay? And what you have is 5 rows pattern, 5 rows half double, 5 rows pattern, 5 rows half double, 5 rows pattern, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. I'm getting all excited until you get to the end of your piece. And whilst you're doing that, you are adding the same colour stitch marker or piece of thread or something opposite each other, because later when we go to attach it to our wreath, we don't want to mess up our rows. We want to be able to single crochet in there and then single crochet 5 across and then 1 in there, 5 across, 1 in there, 4 across I should say, 1 in there, 4 across, 1 in there, 4 across, and so on. Okay, that's one thing I didn't do with my piece. I started doing that halfway through. You'll see that in the next set anyway, but that's all I need you to do from now on. That is it. That is your pattern until you get to the end of your wreath. Now let's talk sizes. Okay, now I mentioned earlier that, I hope I mentioned it earlier. If not, I'm going to mention it now. All right, I had to grab my paperwork there. That the actual wreath itself, I did mention it, but I'll mention it again. The actual wreath itself is right around, let's bring it out a little. Oh, that's not going to work. I'll bring it out. No, that's going in. Let's try that. There we go. The wreath itself around the widest part of the wreath, like that, there, is 110 centimetres or 110 centimeters, or 110 or 40. It's 110. Come on, Mary, you can do this. Or 43, almost 43.5 inches. Now, I did mine at 90 centimeters. Now, you can do yours a little bit bigger because you can see it's a little bit too tight. It's better tight. You don't want it too loose anyways. But do yourself a favor and repeat these sets over and over again until you get between 90 and 92 or 93 centimeters. So give yourself a little bit of leeway. Don't make it where it's overlapping. Once you see the next set, you'll know what I mean. But make it where you can close it up a little bit, and then we do our single crochet across there first, and then we do our single crochet in there. All right, so all I want you to do for now is continue to do these two sets, the pattern set and the half double crochet set, over and over again until you get to 90 or 93 centimeters. We'll say roughly between 90 and 93, so between 35 and 36 inches. All right, so those are the measurements you need. I don't need to show you anymore. Go ahead, repeat those rows. Meet me back here once you've got your whatever size you want to get to, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, we are now complete with our rows. Did that not take forever or what? Next step, I want you to grab your wreath. Well, check this out, guys. Check it out. I'm just going to do a rough measurement, just for now. I'm not going to use measuring tape anymore. No, we've done it once, that's enough. All right, so just grab your piece and wrap it around. And if you give it a gentle tug, it meets right there. It meets. You know, you have to do it all up later, but it actually does meet, and you are better off having it tight than loose. All right, so just heads up there. Don't think because it's sitting here that it doesn't fit. Give it a stretch, move it in. If you think about it, there's more to stretch there, and make sure that once you've stretched it a little bit that it does fit. You don't want it too loose. Yeah. All right, so I think we're good to go. Now what we're going to do from here, there are two ways you can do this. You can either sew or crochet your pieces together. I'm going to be crocheting them together, all right? So I'm going to start from the top, and where I am is right here. Sorry about that noise, guys. It's the stitch markers on the table. So where you should be, right, is into the 5th row of your single crochets or your half doubles. It doesn't matter as long as yours married up to a certain length. Yeah, take out your stitch marker. We are going to grab the other piece, the other side. I've tangled my yarn up. Give me a second, guys. All right, here we go. Grab the other side and flip it over. All right, in this case, there's no right or wrong way of doing your work. All right, so what we're going to do is just put them together like that. So your two ends will be together like that for now. And at this stage, you have your hook still on your thread. You did your last row and you chained one. Yeah, you're going to pop your hook in that stitch there. You're going to go over to the other side and pop your hook in there, and you are going to do a single crochet in every one of these stitches across. All right, so there's our first one, and you know how to do a single crochet because we've done them in the pattern, single one. Now what you're going to do is just go into the very next stitch and the next stitch on the opposite side and do your single crochets all the way across your row. Now, before we continue, I'm going to stop you here. If you want, which I would totally suggest, pop some stitch markers or something along here on every stitch so that you can see them marrying up. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you've got half doubles on this side and singles on that side. It doesn't matter as long as the actual stitches themselves, they add up. So my suggestion, or I started saying it but then stopped, would be count 5 across this way, 5 across that way, and pop it in. And do the same. 5 across this way, 5 across that way, and pop them in. All right, and now all you're doing is your single crochets all the way across that row. Now I don't know if that's 5, I just, kind of guessed. It probably isn't, so bear with me guys, it may not marry up for me, but you keep going, counting your 5 across and doing your single crochet in each stitch. Now don't worry if when we open this up you can see that look, because that look is okay. We want, going frame here, that look is okay, we want that there. We're going to use this as an attachment later in the future when we create more pieces to attach. Now if you don't like that look and you want to sew your pieces together, by all means sew them together. All right, yours truly will be single crocheting hers together all the way across. All right, I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me do that. I would like for you to single crochet all the way across until you get to, let's say, the very last stitch. We won't do the very last stitch. All right, keep that last stitch there for me, and once we get there we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, I don't know about you, but I kept missing that back chain. See that back stitch right there? See how thin they are and how thick this area here is? I kept skipping it and having to go back and undo and then look for the stitch again. But look how tight those stitches are on that side, and look how loose they are on that side. I don't know if it was just because I crocheted tightly or if it's the same for you guys, but anyway, that's your last stitch right there, by the way. And the last stitch is the one with your chain, the little tail, sorry, not the chain, the little tail at the back, which is still a chain, yeah? Pull your loop through, chain one, like so, and let's have a look at what it looks like. All right, so open it up and have a look. What you should have is that. Now if you didn't like that raised edge look, you could have sewn it, but we are going to do something on that raised edge look later. This is the tricky part, guys. This is the part that's going to test your patience, yeah? And this is why I asked you to make sure you put your stitch markers on one side and the same color on the other side. So just grab your wreath, if I can bring it out a little bit more, here we go. Grab your wreath and grab your piece and just pop it over the wreath. It'll be a little bit tight, that's normal. Yours might be tighter than mine. In fact, yours will be tighter than mine because I made sure that yours wasn't as loose as this, yeah. Again, what we're going to do is single crochet in the round. This is going to be totally and utterly awkward, but if you wanted to sew that up as well, you can. It doesn't matter, okay? So what we're going to do now, remember our stitch markers here. We finished, let's see if we can do this. Oh, it's not going to work out. Our little skein of yarn is going to have to come through. So that, bring your skein of yarn through so that it's up the top. It's over the top, all right? See where that last stitch we did was right there. Now, normally we would go this way, but I didn't put stitch markers. So I'm going to go this way. Or maybe I should just start going this way, because I'm going to start you off and then you're going to head off on your own, all right? So let's just pretend, for your benefit, that this is 10 stitches across. Just for your benefit, like where your stitch marker is, I'm sorry, let's try that again. Where your stitch, we'll do it over here so you can see. Where your stitch markers are, before you even start crocheting, grab one of them, whether it's a stitch marker or a thread. Now this one's already come undone. That's because I pulled too tight on it. Where your stitch markers are, or your piece of thread, it doesn't matter, just pop one into the other one, like so. Oh, let me do a close-up so you can see what I did there. I'll try it again. That's the stitch marker, the corresponding stitch marker to that. You're popping that stitch marker into that one. Now you can take out that second stitch marker. All right, so that's how you're going to do the whole piece in the round. What I want you to do is just that. Now, if you find you're worried your stitch marker is going to come undone, don't do the whole round do just one stitch marker at a time. All right, so let's say for argument's sake, I've done it on this side. All I'm going to do is the one stitch marker. Whoops. And then the second one, wherever that may be. Mine's not straight, but let's just pretend it is. So I've done my one, I've done my second. I'll start crocheting down here, get to this one, take that out, go to this one and take that out. The deal with putting them here is that you can marry up your rows. Okay, that's the reason why I got you to pop a stitch marker on every 5th or every 10th, I can't even remember now, on each set, yeah? But for now, what I want you to do is just do 2 of them, and you're going to start crocheting along there. So grab your hook, find that thread, wherever it is, there, yeah? And I am going to go this way for you because the thread is this way, right? Where is it? No, I've pulled it, and I've taken my chain one undone, I think. Oh, no, it's not. I think the thread goes the other way. Let's have a look once we're in. Oh, it does go this way. Oh, bonus. It does go this way. All right, give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to pop this stitch marker in there. Right there. And then take out the other stitch marker. And then I'm going to start crocheting all the way until that stitch marker. All right, what we're going to do is a single crochet. I'll give you a close-up. This is going to be totally and utterly awkward, more for me than you because I've got the frame in my way. But I think your best bid is to just bring it up a little bit and work along here. I'm hoping that makes sense. It's not right in the middle there. It's a bit high up, so it's easier for you to work in. Single crochet into that same stitch that you are in. Where did my chain come undone? My chain came undone. Make sure your chain is not undone. Do your chain. Oops, try that again. There, now go straight back into the same stitch you are in and go right into the opposite area, the opposite piece, and do your single crochet, which is really, really awkward for me to do with the camera, all right, in front of my face. And go right into the very next row of your work, next row of the opposite side, doing your single crochet. Look, I can't even hold my hook properly because the camera's in my way. All right, so that's what I want you to do all the way across. I don't want to show you this. It's going to take me forever to show you. I want to try and stay in frame, and you can actually see what I'm doing anyway. It's not that bad. It's just awkward for me. And there's a single crochet. So your job is to do that all the way across. And when you get to this stitch marker, oh, I can't even see it. How many stitches have I got to go? We're in there. Yeah, we're going to this one here and the one before it. It is very awkward for me, isn't it? I hope you can see this, guys. I've pulled the camera right up. There's the stitch marker. So what you're going to do is, I'm going to struggle to do this because I think I've split the stitch, is go into the first stitch and take out that stitch marker. You'll see it anyway. You know where it is now. You're in there and right into the opposite stitch. All right. I'm hoping that the stitch markers will help you to see the work. All right. So that's it so far. Yours will be tighter than mine. I'm sorry, guys, but that was the best way because look how loose mine's going to be. Yeah. Yours will be tighter than mine, which is, you really want it tight. You can pull and then crochet over it and then pop it back into place. But it's better for yours to be tighter than it is to have it loose like mine. And you'll find that the half double crochet sections will be a little bit loose, but that's okay. All right. But your single crochets will be tighter. Eventually, it'll all fall into place nice and neat. And already it looks nice and neat, yeah? All right, I don't want you to sit here and watch me struggle. What I want you to do is do just that. Pass a stitch marker or a slip stitch with your thread over to the next side. Or you could even leave it there. You could leave it there, but the idea is to make sure, like I've done with that one there, that it doesn't move out of place, yeah? So pass one stitch marker into the other, take that one out. Pass that into the other, take that one out, or your threads, whatever it is you've got, into the next thread, take that thread out, that kind of thing. And keep going until you get to each stitch marker. Pull them out as you go. Get all the way around to the last 5 or 10, not even 5, go right up to the last 3 or 4 stitches. Let's pop a stitch marker in it. Yep, about 3 rows before. Yeah, just 3 rows before your end. Go there, all the way around. So that is your job now, to single crochet in every row all the way around. Get to this section right here, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, I forgot to mention as well, I'm going to bring this through, and by the way, 2 things I wanted to mention. I found it easy to pop my hand under the piece to crochet as I've been going along, but I also forgot to mention that when you get to your half double crochet rows, you're doing exactly the same, but you are popping your hook in pretty much the space of it and the space of the other side. So it doesn't matter how thick that is, but go ahead and do your single crochet over a full thickness of your half double crochet row. You don't need to put 2 in there, you just need to put 1. Now that split the stitch there, so I'm going to take that undone, but you just need to put 1, yeah? So just find a space, really big space there, and a really big space on the opposite side, and do your single crochet. All right, I did forget to mention that earlier. So jump into your 2 stitches like so, and keep going in the round. Get to the end of the round, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, I don't mind admitting that I struggled with that. And it took me like forever trying to work out where to put my hand to crochet around. Look where it is, it's underneath the wreath. Don't you love it? I couldn't do that properly before because I was going to knock the stand, and I might try and see if I can do it without knocking the stand. But taking out your stitch marker if you like, and keep it in there if it helps you. But I find this part's going to be real tricky, so it might pay to just pull it right up to the top so you can see what you're doing. When I say tricky, it's just a little tight, that's all, because we've been crocheting in the round, yeah? So finish. I knew it would be hard, but we'll try it. I'm going to try it once. Just don't be surprised if the frame gets knocked down. Oh dear. Remind me why we're doing this? Oh, that's right, it's our annual project. Oh, I'm going into the same stitch. All right, second last stitch. This is a very tight area, this one for me. I think I just went in the same stitch again. Come on, Mary, stay controlled. All right, here we go. Let's try it one more time. It's because it's really, really tight here. There we go, we're in now. Oh, I'm not even in frame. Let's try that again. I'm not even in frame. The first stitch there and the first on the other side. Nearly there. Stay in frame, Mary. All right, and where are we? We're in that one there. We want to go into the next one. I'm just keeping them together. It helps a lot to crochet like that. And what we have now is this set here. Try and get into that little gap there and into the little gap on the other side, and just pull a loop through like so. Now you'll have a little bit of a hole there. That's okay. Just pull up a loop and give yourself, I don't know, plenty of tail for weaving in. And you're only going to weave in a little bit. I just use a lot of tail because that's what I do. Where's my scissors? Here we go. Get excited, guys. We've done this. Finally, we've done it. All right. So what we've got there is that you need to grab your sewing needle and thread your needle. Yeah. And then one more time, you need to see where the little hole is. You can see it right there. See that? Right there. That little hole. You have to sew that in together. So what we're going to do is just grab our needle, pass it in through the back, and then just through to your stitch like that. That's it. That's one. We might do it again. We'll see. Yes, we're going to do it again. Go back into it. Or what you could do instead, go into the opposite side and go through to the opposite side like that. So I went across that way and I'm going across this way. You can leave that little loop there and make a knot if you like. You could. Oh no, I don't like the knot. Let's come bring that out. I don't like the knot at all. You can see a loop and I don't want to see the loop. So don't make the knot. Don't make the knot. That's better. I don't want to have to see any tails there. It doesn't matter anyway, because no one's going to see this. This part's going to be covered afterwards, and I'll show you how in the future. But for now, just grab your needle and go in and out of anywhere you want. Anywhere, it doesn't matter, just anywhere. Not too many times like I'm doing. I'm just being fussy, but that's me being fussy. And then what I want you to do is weave in this tail in a minute. Give me a second. I want you to actually weave this in now. And weaving it in is just in and out of these stitches here. You could do it at the back, you can do it at the front, doesn't matter. Just go in and out of some stitches, weaving through lots and lots of thicknesses like that, and just pulling your thread through like so. Notice how I just gave it a stretch, yeah? I'm going to do it a bit more. My hands are starting to shake because of the pressure of crocheting. Can you believe that? It's not my thing, crocheting on things. Amigurumi, I'm telling you, amigurumi. This is kind of like amigurumi because it's not a toy, but it's a similar sort of thing where you've got to use a whole lot of tight crocheting to get it to fit. So you're going back the other way, by the way, guys. I'm chatting too much here. Going back the other way. Guess what? One more time. Around the other side. Well, that didn't work. Around the other side, anywhere you like. Pop it through. Don't have to do it this many times. I'm just Miss Fussy Pots. I should have got you to check it first before doing this part, because this is the end. Get excited, guys. It's done. All right, so don't stress about this thing right here. We are going to use this seam line for us, but for the rest of it, just push it all in the back. Now, if you've got a round one, just keep it in the middle rather than the back. But we've got a flat one, so we can push this right at the back, like so. Keep pushing all the way, all the way, all the way. All right, so thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Take your time making this piece, because honestly, to make this round bit itself, it took me forever. So take your time making this piece, and I will see everyone in our very next tutorial or on our lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time, and we can have a little bit of fun. Ciao for now.